What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to How to Draw Facial Expressions. This is going to be one different video than what you've seen before. We're going to do many different 5-minute 5-minute portrait sketches. These are going to be like gesture drawings. And you're actually going to have a timer on the bottom right, and you're going to have the emotion on the bottom left. The emotion is going to be somewhat up to the viewer's interpretation, because there is such a thing called a poker face. So you can be portraying one particular expression but have another, like a poker face. But we're just going to ignore that and pretend that there's no poker faces here. So let's go ahead and get started here. As we start to draw, the timer begins on the bottom right so that you can see that each one of these drawings is going to be about 5 minutes, give or take a second or a couple seconds. So in the beginning, I start off really rusty because I'm not used to doing quick drawings, and I thought at this point that I would just go with just simple, no outlines around the side and just throw something in. See how I'm going with straight lines and angles. Starting off kind of like a long-term pose, but I didn't quite get the feel for it yet. It takes me a couple of these to learn how to do them because I never really did do these with portraits, only with figure drawing. So hey Rocky, Jonas, Canvas Dancer, hope everyone's doing well. Hey, Canvas Dancer. Yeah, 5 minutes each. It's gonna be something. And I used the chamois cloth there, and now we're already getting an expression here. You can tell that the person's not quite cheerful. They're not quite, they're not quite as excited. They're more worried, and a lot of that has to do with the way that we portrayed the eyes. So even though this was my first one, and I was definitely rusty with doing sketches like this, to say the least, the chamois cloth definitely helps. That's a big thing of Willow charcoal, and I believe I'm only going to use Willow charcoal chamois cloth. I might stump here and there. I'm not sure if I remember if I did do a stump. But now, with all of 1 minute and 40 seconds, we've already got somewhat of an idea of what the facial expression is. And now we're just going to draw around a little bit. There it is, the stump. I don't know if I used the stump much more after maybe the first couple, but we'll see. It's going to be a fun little evolution for you to witness here, because I'm not in my comfort zone at all. I'm very comfortable taking my time, knowing that I have a long time to do something, where I'm allowed to make mistakes. 5 minutes, you can't correct anything. It is possible to correct stuff, but it's not going to be as much as usual. And I recommend you do these with pastel paper. It could be Canson, it could be Strathmore, whichever you want, as long as it's a pastel paper. And just tone it with the Willow charcoal. Just get yourself a big thing of Willow charcoal, a chamois cloth, and some paper towel. I like to use Viva paper towel, and you should be pretty good. Now we're past the halfway point, and at this point I realized that I had the facial expression down, and I wanted to make it look a tad bit more human, but that's tricky given the circumstances here, and the fact that the face is pretty much centered. So where did I get these expressions from? There is a bunch of different copyright-free places you can go to find the expressions of the face. This one I think is from Pexels, Pexels. I'm not quite sure. However, I made up a lot of it, so there isn't really one way to do these. Likeness is out the window. Don't even worry about it. Focus on capturing an expression, how you believe it to be an expression, and focus on mainly the eyebrows there. Eyebrows and the mouth kind of says it all. You can't really move the nose, as you see. You can move the nose. The nose and the ears probably won't give you as much information, but the eyebrows and the mouth can give you a lot of information about facial expressions. And in the first 30 minutes, we definitely had that. And after the halfway point, there's just a little bit of refinement here and there. And now we've got less than a minute, under a minute, and I'm pretty much just walking around, making it look a tad bit better, but knowing that it was pretty much done at that point. Hey Tweezle, welcome, welcome. Like I said, everyone, this one is the first one. I was a little hesitant with it, but you could tell there's a fearful look. Pretty much how I felt when I was drawing it. This could have been a self-portrait. I was already kind of fearful about the facial expressions. So yeah, Canvas Dancer. I think Unsplash has a series of them too. Different pictures of facial expressions. Now, if you can do self-portraits with these expressions, that would be great. But I don't think I can even do that, because doing that is going to be really hard to hold the pose. So now we're going to use the same sheet of paper for all of the sketches. And now we're going to start a new emotion here. And we're going to go with surprised. So I used just a paper towel to smoothen out the surface. And I'm still kind of rusty here. Going in with the outside shape first. I'm kind of testing a little bit. Eventually I correct the light sensitivity on the camera. It's going to look a little bit dark for the next maybe two faces, but we'll see. So this one's going to be surprised, more like scary. So this person's going to look quite frightening, and you'll see when we get in with the eyes. It's going to be kind of terrifying. But again, this is a facial expression that I would probably have if I see my YouTube analytics. So this is the expression that I would have, not in a good way. So if you would like to, definitely share these videos with anyone if you think they would be useful. But anyway, enough about me. The eyes there are going to tell it all. I won't really need to say much after we put in the eyes. And there you go. In a very cartoony sense, that's a scared look. That's the look when reality sinks in. So now we're starting to put in the structure of the nose with the chamois cloth. It's all going to be in the chamois cloth, really. How you handle the moving around of the charcoal. More pressure picks up more charcoal. The more charcoal you pick up, the lighter it's going to be. And you can even move to follow the planes. So a lot to say, a lot to do in all of 1 minute 56 seconds. But you see here that I'm kind of playing around with that idea of using the chamois cloth to pick up planes and make the thing look dimensional, just like a sketch that you could do of a model in a figure drawing. And these are going to be quite goofy, these expressions. But you can tell with the eyebrows, eventually we're going to get into someone that's screaming, someone that's in pain. And this person doesn't quite look like they're in pain. The eyebrows kind of says it all. They're surprised is more what I would say, or shocked about something. Hey, Lady Death. So just 2 minutes left in this one, and I'm playing it kind of safe still. This is only the second one. This kind of puts me in the mindset and appreciation of caricaturists and cartoon illustrators. To be able to do all that really quickly is definitely a skill that I think helps mentally. I think it's a good mental exercise. There's a lot of thinking involved in how you're going to approach these shapes at a relatively quick speed. A little bit more light for the forehead, more light for the cheekbone. So you see here, I'm just trying to plane it out a little bit more. So more mass oriented. All of these are going to be more mass oriented than linear. You could do this more linear, but it would be very hard to get out of a cartoon kind of look with a linear approach. And 30 seconds left. I thought it'd be neat to put the timer on the bottom right. We'll see what you think about it. Definitely it shows you the pressure is on. Eyes are a little bit wonky, but that's okay. It's a surprised look. Okay, so now on to the next one. Now motivated, and I think after this one we raised the light sensitivity. But I also did end up adding more charcoal to the paper. So the motivated one is much more standard, what we're used to. So I didn't have as much fear going into it. 3/4 pose, light coming from the left hand side relative to us. Cast shadow on the right, the head is centered in perspective. There's going to be more of a serious look with the eyes, and it will kind of tell the story probably within the first minute and a half. We'll see. You know, at this point, I would start a long pose, probably the same, if I were doing a long pose portrait. And there you go, just about a minute and a half. We already get an idea of the emotion here, more serious. So those of you watching this video live, there's not a lot of us here. Attendance keeps shrinking a little bit, but I'm going to ask everyone what's currently on your easel. And of course, for me, it's always going to be somewhat simple. What is on your easel today? For me, it's a portrait start of a portrait. Now we're adding more light to the forehead. Yeah, so depending on the attendance, I always have to say this every once in a while, but depending on the attendance, we may have to switch around live stream and pre-recorded. Attendance hasn't been that great with live streams recently, so we will see. Either way, you'll still get videos from me. Hey Shabu, welcome. Thanks for watching from India. So 2 minutes, 40 seconds in. Now we have the expression, and we're starting to put in planes for the face. It's very dimensional when you work this way. It's like planes to a sculpture. So canvas dance, so you've been doing small, short, quick sketchbook work, portraits primarily. Good. It's always good to do sketches. Speaking of sketches, these are probably my favorite type of sketches. First introduced to me at Studio in Comanati in Philadelphia. These are wipeout drawings, and you can tell how quickly how rounded the forehead is. You've got the planes for the frontal ridge of the skull, the the frontal eminence of the skull, meaning the little round part of the front of the skull. Um, the highlight to round out the form, and the nose areas around it. Very quick. So Tweezle, you're gonna start project 1 today. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're feeling motivated. And there's a thing I would never do. I would never suggest. I used my finger there to lighten that value. I could have easily just went into the stump, but I knew that the timer was on me, so I went with my finger there. The reason you don't want to use your finger, both for graphite or charcoal, is you deposit the oils from your fingers on the paper, and it never really comes off. It turns into a stain. But my fingers weren't oily that day, so it didn't do anything. Oh, good, canvas dancer. I'm glad you like the technique. Shows the flexibility of charcoal. It is a very painterly material, but it's much easier to handle than paint. So Rocky, you've got quick sketch portraits. Good, good. We're all on the same page. That's good. And there we go. Now I'm adjusting. There it is. See, I told you I would do it. We adjusted the light sensitivity here. And now we're gonna go with upset. And here's where I start to kind of get the hang of it, of what's important in the beginning, what's not as important, what to establish with these little portrait sketches. Remember, this is not sped up at all. This is all real time. So if you would have asked me last week, I was a little skeptical when everyone was suggesting to draw the different facial expressions. I didn't know if I could capture them in quick drawings like this. So if you would have asked me last week if I could do this, I probably would have said, maybe, we'll see. That's probably what I said. But it took a lot of courage to do this, and there's a lot of learning involved. So you'll see a difference between this one and the last couple ones. Priorities are a little different. See how quickly I went in with the chamois. And all of a minute 30 seconds, you can tell that this person is not quite cheerful. Something's going on in their mind. Probably not something good. But you see with the wipeout method, you can see how they're just emerging out of the paper. So Lady Death, you've got the painting of Bella Porch. I don't know that name, but good. It's good to hear you've got a painting going on there. So you see what I mean? How the priority changed a little bit. I knew that with the wipeout method, I'd be able to create the the portrait from the inside out, so growing from the inside out, and I didn't really need to worry about the silhouette of the face. I could kind of just land on that. Um, so that's what we did. We'll eventually put a little bit for the outside of the face, but all of the important stuff is already said here. See, now we're landing on the outside of the face. Hey Cindy, welcome, welcome. So what's important here is the expression and the volume, the dimensionality of the face. Oh, good, Jonas. I'm glad you like the different facial expressions. Oh, you're in for a treat. There's gonna be some wild ones, which I'm sure you've already seen by the thumbnail. There's gonna be some wild ones here. And doing these all in 5 minutes, 5 minutes each is definitely a thing, not a very simple thing. Even more vivid expression in the upsetness. This is the way I looked when I paid my bill for the art supplies. Hey, Lady Death, yes, it is Willow charcoal. It's a huge thing of Willow charcoal. I think it's Grumbacher. So Tweezle, you got a battery-operated eraser for charcoal on paper. Oh, cool. I've never used one of those, but I've heard of them before. So the last 10 seconds is pretty much not really gonna do much. Most of it was the first half of the sketch, like the first 2 minutes and a half. On to the next one. This one is gonna be wild. This is gonna be yelling. See how I can start to introduce curvilinear lines for perspective. So the perspective line for the eyes already tells me that the model is looking raising their head slightly, as you can picture an imaginary center line around the eyes. And you can see the technique has evolved a little bit now. The straight lines and angles now turn into curves. And we jump into the eyes a lot faster. Very much like a cartoon caricaturist you would think. Now remember, my training is not in doing that, so it's kind of something I had to figure out on the spot. Because I know that the end result here is not supposed to be impressive. It's not supposed to be very realistic. The end result here is supposed to convey an expression. So right there, about 1 minute and a half typically. 1 minute and a half typically is what it takes for you to get the gist of the expression. And I could even stop there and you can tell what the expression is, what the person's doing. But of course we're not going to stop there, we're going to keep going. So canvas dancer, you have an electric eraser. It's fantastic for small detail. Oh, good. I'll have to check one of those out eventually. You know, and I usually don't do much drawing or sketches these days. I should do more, but I've been doing them because that's what's been suggested here on the live streams. And without your wanting me to do this, I probably wouldn't have done this. But I'm glad that I did, because it's given me a whole new outlook on drawing in general. Just being able to capture the moment in 5 minutes with something as difficult as a face is it's a very fun challenge. Terrifying, but very fun challenge. You see how I eventually evolved into not worrying too much about the straight lines and angles in the beginning? Because in the beginning I was treating it like it was going to be uh, uh, long and involved block-in process that I thought I could abbreviate. But even in this way, where you don't use as many straight lines and angles, it all it all can meet somewhere in the middle. The middle stages, like I said, I could continue a drawing like this if I wanted to. Yeah, the start is important. In Caminati, the school I went to in Philly, um, it was all about the start and the art of the start and all that. But at a certain point, with enough experience, you'll find that most of the work is in the middle stages, not so much the start. You can start almost any way you want. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, as long as you understand the fundamentals, understand what makes things look realistic. You can work any order you want, any which way you want. So this one was quite intense. 30 minutes left. I didn't quite get to the chin, but that's alright. I mean, 30 seconds left. And again, another terrifying one, but not quite as bad as the first one. The scared one. The first one with an extreme expression. Okay. So we'll get this yelling face out of here. It's wild with these expressions, though. It almost looks like you can hear them yelling out of the paper. There, you saw on the left side, I auto-corrected. I was about to go in with the block in, and then I said, nope, go in with these gestural lines, curvilinear lines, and just get the features, the axes of the features in as quickly as possible and build from there. So that was my little autocorrect. And with the laughing person, we're going to go with the mouth first. And without the eyes, even you can tell a person's laughing. You see how it didn't even put in the eyes yet. So you can work any which way you want. And I'm actually using paper towel there. I decided to experiment a little bit more. And the stump, really experimental. And there's no fine point really to the charcoal. It is a big lump of charcoal. It gets more refined as I use it to sketch more stuff across the paper, but no very specific point for it there. So here it's more linear, a little bit more linear. You see how it changed the tactic a little bit? The tactical side of it has changed. And then I'm like, what the heck? I'm just gonna go on with the chamois cloth. Now we're at the halfway point. The cheekbone is really important. It should be getting a lot of light, and we're gonna get there now. A lot to ask for 2 minutes and something seconds. Alright, so since the comments have been not so much and the attendance is not so much, Well, let's go ahead. Let's all answer our uh, favorite. Let's say, who is our favorite artist of all time? Who is your favorite artist of all time, living or dead? And of course, my answer is typically the same: Nelson Shanks, for his freedom, how he worked, and what he taught, what he left behind. Big joyful laughter there. So yeah, your most favorite. So your top. Uh, let's just say your favorite artist of all time, living or dead. So this one turned out quite well. We have the face emerging out of the canvas, and the sense of laughter is kind of there. It's a funny face to look at. And now I'm gonna mess it up by putting some unnecessary stuff around it. So now, after looking at this, I don't need anything else around it. But I went and did it anyway for pretty much all of them. But I guess that just adds to the sketch. Hey Nilu, oh thanks. Thank you. Got 12 seconds left on this one. And the way I kept track of this was using the timer on my phone, by the way. As soon as the timer went off on my phone, I knew I had to let it go. So Canvas Dancer, Vermeer for Light, and Kathy Kolwitz. I think I looked that one person up before. Cool. Here again, top and bottom. See how these have evolved into curves. From the beginning, very straight lines, very architectural, and it evolved into curves for the sake of the speed. Oh, this one, this curious one can be interpreted as many things. Um, this one is more difficult because the head is kind of centered. Hey, Lemurian. Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Glad it's inspiring to you. It's definitely not my ordinary thing that I do here. But you know, if I was smart, um, I would probably have turned each one of these into those things called YouTube Shorts. I still have the video, I probably can, but yeah, I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world. So Cindy wrote Monet, awesome. Monet was one of my favorites of all time at one point. So Nilu, smiling, happy. Yep, well, yep. There's gonna be one of those. Unless we did it already, I think there's gonna be we had a laughing one, but I think there's gonna be a smiling one. I think. Um, but if not, we did do one where the model was laughing. So from Tweezle, you wrote Impossible. You like different artists for different things. You recently discovered an artist named Alan Ramsey. Cool, cool. Yeah, so this one I kind of bombed, but for curious, I I deemed it to be curious just because the model is looking off to the side and the eyebrows are slightly elevated. So for me, this person is curious. And I kind of bombed it, I think, because the face is centered. So anytime the face is centered, good luck. That's the most difficult um, expression. That's the most difficult angle. Any little twist and turn or tilt of the head is ideal, but this front and center, more difficult than anything. It's easier to draw an airplane or a Corvette or something like that than someone that's pretty much straight on. But luckily, my experience, now that we've passed the halfway point, my experience with the past couple drawings, we're about 34 minutes in now, has taught me what to prioritize with these. When you go right in from the center of the face outwards, it's very powerful because it creates a nice sense of volume. So 3 minutes and a half in, you can kind of already tell this person is somewhat curious. Again, what makes it seem curious to me is that they're looking off to the side, their eyebrows are raised, their mouth is relaxed. So maybe they just saw a UFO, or they're looking at a UFO. They're turning their eyes. Which, by the way, has anyone here ever seen a UFO? A random question. I've always wanted to see one. That's one of my bucket list things. I don't want to go into whether they exist or not because that's like, we can't really know that. Maybe someone here does. But this is what I would look like if I were to see a UFO in the corner somewhere up in the sky. Hey, Janice. Lemurian, you have seen a UFO. Lucky you. I wish I could have seen one. My mom told me she saw one when she was a kid. All the colors and everything, the flying saucer kind of look. But I wish, just out of curiosity. And very quickly though, with the light side of the stump, we have the teeth there. Very cool effect. So this one definitely started to evolve in the last 10 seconds. But that's the last 10 seconds. That was 5 minutes. Now we're moving. So Janice, you haven't seen one. Join the crowd. Haven't seen one either. Now this one is a silly one. So this is more along the lines of happy. More along the lines of a happy, smiling person. Oh, wait, no, this one is insane. Okay, so this one is going to be like the Einstein pose where his tongue is sticking out. See how it started? Curvilinear. Simple straight lines and angles. Very decisive. Very quick. Needless to say, the shadows are really important with these. Lemurian, your dad took you UFO spotting regularly. Oh, wow. I wish. That must be like in Nevada or something. Yeah, over here in the DC area, not so much. I wish. Now this facial expression, this is my facial expression when I'm playing pool. And I run all of the balls. Say we're playing 9-ball. I'm going to run all the balls. And then I'm going to miss the 9-ball. And the 9-ball is going to hang in the pocket, and the opponent just has to hit an easy shot, and they win. This is my expression when that happens. When would you have this expression? This silly kind of tongue out expression? Lemurian, let's see, you saw 3 lights fly over in tandem in a sacred stone circle recently. You're in the UK. Oh, wow. I wish. The fact that they flew in tandem, definitely a telltale sign of intelligence. Awesome. Now I have seen shooting stars before, and they were some of the most astonishing things I've ever seen. Um, but of course, I knew that they were shooting stars. And again, very quickly, 2 minutes, 50 seconds, and we have the roundness of the face, the expression of the eyebrows, very elevated. The camera stands for. Thanks for answering the question. So you have this expression when you're hanging out with the grandkids. I know what you're saying. That's why I said hanging out with the grandkids. So from Tweezle, the expression you get every time you ask your granddaughter to pose for a picture. Oh wow. Learning to paint the silly expression is one you'll need. Oh good. Well, the good news is in the first 2 minutes and a half, that was pretty much the most critical for the structure of the face. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, everyone, you at this point you don't even have to change the positioning of the features anymore. From this point, you could just go right into rendering a thing and making it look realistic if you want to. So the start is that important, that you have a nice and fluid start. Like I said, you can start any which way you want. It's just this one's faster. You can have all of that information down in 5 minutes. But again, you could start with a more slow, more controlled approach if you want to. Now we're going in last 20 seconds. And pretty much everything that needs to be said is already said. There we go. That was 5 minutes of that one. The most goofy drawing I've ever done, but probably one of the most fun ones at the same time. Now we've got Smug. Someone really confident about themselves. Someone that's on top of the world. Someone that's not me. Someone that's got everything in control. So when do you think you'd have this expression? This smug, kind of confident look? Let's see, when would I have this expression? Now that I have a puppy, and I know that my puppy is an awesome dog, this is my facial expression when we're walking around in PetSmart and everybody's admiring my puppy. I'm like, yep, I know. I have an awesome dog. Hey, Red Angry Bird. Thanks for watching from Australia. My facial expression when I'm proud of my dog. So Jonas, let's see. You wrote, "Are you like me? It is fun to paint landscapes. What's the most fun in the world is to paint portraits." Yep. I do enjoy portraits. I actually want to start my own portrait commission business. I'll get into that later. Obviously, this isn't a good advertising video for that, because what portrait commissioner is going to want to look at gestures, right? So it's not like they'd ever even look at this video. But I do really enjoy portraits. More about that later on. But there it is, 1 minute 55 seconds. We've got the smug look. What gives it the smug look? How close the eyebrows are to the eyes. How this is lowered. We got one cheek, one little corner of the mouth raised. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . So Tweezley wrote, "Can't say portraits are fun for me yet. I'm very new to portraiture. Let's see, you love painting animals and seascapes." I like animals and seascapes too. Pretty much like anything. But there's something special about portraiture that I've enjoyed as long as I can remember now. Um, but they're all pretty much the same. Uh, it's all about your knowledge of structure, light, color, composition. The only difference with portraiture is, well, anything figurative is the anatomy. The anatomy is the thing that differentiates it from pretty much everything else. So the smug look here is definitely not a look that I had when I was in the middle of this drawing. At this point, I was kind of a little concerned. I didn't know which direction to go. As you see, the highlights are kind of all over the place. The camera stands there. Oh, good. I'm glad you like our doggy Ugo. Oh, I remember your puppy Sienna. We're gonna have our next Zoom meeting tomorrow. I will post the link later today. Oh, yeah, I know. That look when they finally go outside and it takes forever sometimes for our dog to go outside. But he's at least letting me know. He's letting us know now when he has to go outside. Hey, hard job. What's going on? Funny story. I actually don't know how to spell very well in Spanish. I've kind of lost my sense of Spanish. I would only really speak it with my grandparents, and mainly my grandpa, but he died a long time ago. I understand what the que pasó means, what's going on, and I'm just here with the demos. The puppy was from my sister-in-law's friend, who doesn't want me to give out her info. I asked her. So she had the puppy. It was kind of like her puppy bred, her dog, sorry, not puppy, her dog was bred with another dog, kind of as just a one-time thing. Um, so that's how we got our dog. I know everyone around keeps asking me, "Where'd you get a Shiba? Where'd you get a Shiba?" We just got lucky. We got lucky, I guess. And it's wild because I did actually have an interest in that breed because they're more quiet. As you can see, you can hear him. He's hanging out in his space, like right behind me. We've trained him to be calm now. He's not running around. I don't have to hold him in my lap when I'm doing these videos anymore. So the story goes, and I don't know too much of it myself. I do know who the parents are of the dog, but they met up with this lady's show dog apparently, and they had they were like, "Do you want to breed your dog?" Because it was they weren't neutered or whatever, which is rare for dogs these days. So that's how it happened. I actually didn't play a big role in it. I was just kind of there after they bought the dog. Hey, Jonas. Yeah, there's something special about portrait painting, portrait drawing, portrait painting. My grandpa, the man that raised me, that I identify as grandpa, wasn't my biological grandpa. He was like my step grandpa. But my biological grandpa, who passed away years before I was born, he was allegedly known to be a portrait artist that would draw in charcoal all the time. And it wasn't his main thing. He was an architect, and didn't end too well with my family and him. So I don't know if any of his work is even real, but that's what I heard about. And speaking of charcoal and portraiture, this one is the awkward one. So this is the awkward smile, and I think most of us can relate, especially when I don't quite know the answer to something. Um, this is usually the awkward look that I'll have in my head. So what's awkward about it is that the eyebrows are slightly down, but the mouth is up. So I can't quite do it. It's a weird one to do. So for awkward, it's somewhat of a smile, but the eyebrows look a little bit nervous. So nervous eyebrows and somewhat of a smile. So that is the awkward look. Coincidentally, with the awkward stage of anything, which, by the way, awkward stage, right? We didn't get into much of an awkward stage with anything with these gestures. It kind of just was a stage that we skipped all together, just with the fluidity of the charcoal. So it's about to be a minute and 10 seconds remaining, but most of what needed to be captured was captured. And as you can see with these exercises, likeness is not that important. It's more about the capturing the expression as quickly as you can and using the chamois cloth to let the planes emerge, make it seem like it's emerging from the charcoal paper. Hey, Bean Pot. And when this ends, which it will end in about 40 seconds, we're going to go through it all again. Not in real time, but we're going to do a little summary of everything. And a few little adjustments here with the stump, which is something I rarely did. But I knew that this was my last one because I was kind of tired. These will tire you out, for sure. So at that point, I was kind of tired and I was just kind of smudging the charcoal around. And there we're a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds over. But that is about it with this one, I think. I don't know why I'm still drawing. I'm still drawing because I knew the timer went off, but I knew this would be the last one on my paper. But not very much else happened there. So let's go back to that. And we're going to start off going through all of them, but very quickly so you can see how things kind of evolved. So Tweezle, I'm glad you enjoyed family stories. Your mother was a very talented artist. Awesome. You still have a couple of her paintings. That's awesome. Only thing I remember is my grandma drawing ducks. She would draw little duckies. That's all I can remember with my family with art. So it started off rather kind of, I thought that I would just put in the lines of the face and then that would be it. And eventually, yes, it does evolve to that, but you see how much more clear these lines are versus these lines. You see the difference here between this and let's go to another one. This. So this was the difference. And it took a couple of these. Even this one. This one started off rather kind of bulky, very plainy, kind of like a long term, how I would start like a long term painting. And then you can tell that is much more concise. And it's probably the same amount of time. There's 39 seconds. And here is 38 seconds. You see there are 38 seconds versus the other 38 seconds. Let's look at the first one. 39 seconds. Look at this. 39 seconds into the first one. Let's go to the last one. Let's go to 39 seconds into the last one that we did. So you can see the evolution of it. Okay, so about 39 seconds there. 36 seconds. See the difference there. Not very much of that blockiness to it, more of just a specific sweeping line to give me the information that I needed. And here, when we went in with the chamois, this was probably the turning point here with the chamois. Whereas here, you see it's kind of a little all over the place, Here, it's definitely all over the place. But with the motivated one is when we finally got the gist of the chamois and how the chamois can start to get it to curve a little bit more. Oh, good. I'm glad you liked the quick summary. This is me just showing you that I didn't start this knowing everything. I had to learn throughout the process. So there I got an idea of how the chamois actually works. Here was the first time, let's just say 36 seconds. So the 36 seconds here versus the 36 seconds in the other one, you can tell at this point I knew all of those lines outside, all of that didn't really mean much for these quick sketches, and it was all about those decisive marks and then going in with the chamois. And you see with this one, 2 minutes, 21 seconds. You can see just how much can be described there. Let's check out the 2 minutes in each of them. Let's see. 2 minutes in, see where we are. Let's go to the beginning, see where 2 minutes left us. 2 minutes. You see how terrible this one is at the 2 minutes. And 2 minutes in, let's see what this one looked like. Pretty terrible. You see how the 2 minutes looked like there. Sorry about those updates. That is people not understanding that I work for a living. So now let's go check out another 2 minutes. See how the next 2 minutes one. So the next 2 minutes a little more slow, but I had more of an understanding of the chamois cloth, how I needed to use it to abbreviate the form. Let's go in the next 2 minutes, see what well, I think we already saw this one, but 2 minutes in. This is probably one of the best 2 minutes in out of all of them. And if you asked me to recreate that, I probably couldn't. But I tried. I can try. Anyway, going again. Let's see what the next 2 minutes looks like. Okay. This is what the next 2 minutes looks like. Try it again. Go to another one. The next 2 minutes. And with each of them, you can tell, even though they're in different stages, each of them you can tell that the emotion is already captured there. Try the next 2 minutes. This one was rather bad, but let's see where we ended up. Okay, so pretty bad, as kind of like the first one, but 2 minutes you can. This is just I just bombed it. This one is just awful. So let's go to the next one. 2 minutes in. All right, this is what it looked like 2 minutes in with this one. As you can see, concise lines where the eyes are gonna go. Perspective is already there. Placement of everything is already there, and we've even got a nose. That's a pretty decent nose for 2 minutes in. So now the evolution is quite severe for sure. And it's 2 minutes in with this one. There you go, 2 minutes in with that one. 2 minutes in with the last one. I was tired really at this point. So 2 minutes in with this one. So you see the evolution of how I was approaching the drawings there. Let's see. So Rocky wrote, what did I miss here? Oh, Jonas, he wrote, talent comes from your mother's side. She was a good painter, and your grandma as well. Awesome. I think, I don't think, I know that my grandpa from my dad's side was into painting ceramics. She was very much into ceramics. And then my grandpa from my mom's side was the one that was into portraiture and architecture. So it's always good to know your roots, I'd say. So Tweezle, let's see, yours was a response. So Janice, you wrote, that is something, I'm late, we'll watch the rerun. No worries, this will be available as a pre-recorded video on YouTube, no worries. Hey Rocky. Oh, thanks. Yeah, this was a very terrifying one. And again, I cannot emphasize the fact that this is just a creature. I mean, 2 minutes and 8 seconds, this is a creature. And then 2 minutes and 2 seconds here. So the evolution from that point to this point, and this is 18 minutes in, it taught me a lot. And some of it is just because this perspective is easier, but the handling of the method is very important to tell. So now let's look at the first, let's say, 3 minutes in. 3 minutes in with this one. 3 minutes in with this one. I keep looking at those first two because they were terrible. And let's go to the next one. 3 minutes in with the next one. So that's about 3 minutes in with that one. You see it's much more defined. 3 minutes in with this one. This is probably the best of them all. 3 minutes in with this one. 3 minutes in with this one. Now we're starting to get a feel for the handling of the charcoal there. 3 minutes in with this one. 3 minutes in with this creature. It was starting to be okay at the 3 minutes. At the 2 minutes, this one was terrible. At the 3 minutes, it was acceptable. Now it's acceptable. 3 minutes in with this one. Now you see it's the goofiness is definitely already there. 3 minutes in with this one. 3 minutes in with that one, you see much more slow. And 3 minutes in with the last one. And that's 3 minutes in with the last one. So a lot of stuff, and hopefully you can tell the features now, as we'll do one final little go around. Fear, check out the eyebrows. Surprised, check out the eyebrows and the mouth. Motivated, check out the eyebrows again and the mouth. See if the mouth was open or doing anything else, it would have been different. Upset, look at the eyebrows, look at the forehead, look at the creases on the forehead. It's kind of funny that my best one is the upset one. Wonder how often I'm upset with myself. Funny self-reflection there. So now let's go into the next one, yelling. Once again, look at the eyebrows. Look at how congested the eyebrows is and look at the crease for the mouth for yelling. Laughing. The mouth, the crease for the mouth, and the elevated eyebrows for laughing. Curious. Blank. Pretty much blank with a slight elevation of the eyebrows staring off to the side, as if we've seen a UFO. Silly. So our eyebrows are raised and The mouth is of course open. The eyes are like looking in the middle of the nose. And that gives you the silly look. Smug. The features are kind of static, just like the curious one, but we have the slight raising of one side of the eyebrows there. I mean, one side of the mouth. Eyebrows are pretty much just flat. Awkward. Smiling. This is the awkward smile. Yet the eyebrows are raised, but not as much as if someone was fully confident or just laughing. So this one is awkward. But they're all up to interpretation. It's all up to your own interpretation. Like I said early in the beginning, there could be a poker face. So it's all up to interpretation. Hey, Stephanie Thompson. Thanks for stopping by to say hello. So that's going to be about it for today. Next time, we're going to return to portrait painting. This is the third week in a row, I think, where we did all charcoal. So we're going to introduce some more oil painting techniques, in particular water mixable oil painting techniques. So you'll be definitely intrigued at what we're gonna start doing next time. So at this point, I'm going to ask if there are any last minute questions. And of course, while you're typing your last minute questions, I'm going to bring over the doggy. Come on, come here, come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on, doggy. So as he is a puppy, I'm trying to make sure not to hold him as much, so he doesn't feel as in control. So he knows that the humans are in control. But I mean, who can deny this puppy here? Again, Shiba Inu. He's gonna get bigger. He's not gonna be a huge dog, but he's gonna be about 25 to 30 pounds at some point. So he is here to say hello, here to say, why did you wake me up? I was having a great time sleeping. I'm going to destroy you. Oh, and I'm going to raise my paws and I'm going to yawn. That's what he does. We might even paint him next time. So from Rocky, looking forward to next week. Oh, cool. Yeah, everyone. So if the toxicity of oil painting, is on the toxicity of the paint and the solvent is something that is something that concerns you, we're gonna definitely address that because he's yawning. So because this guy, I don't want him to be surrounded by mineral spirits, I'm going to have to use water mixable as he chews on my hair. We're going to have to use water mixable. So definitely I'm going to be exploring that even further. I'll see you next time, Lady Death. Hey, Tweezle. Yeah, it's the internet. Sometimes the internet cuts off. According to my thing here, I've lost 0.1% of my frames. Oh yeah, commissions. Yeah, I'll mention that. I'll talk more about that, but only when I have a more finished looking painting for potential clients. Oh, thanks, Tweezle. Canvas Dancer. Yep, I'll see you next time, Rocky. Okay, so that should be about it for today. So once again, thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully this video helps you out. Here's again Doggy. So as always, before I head out, if you want to take your art education with me further, please consider checking out my online classes. Start out at $10 a month. Here's my schedule there. YouTube public is in red. That's what you just saw today. So we'll be here same time every day for every week. Sorry, not every day. Same time every week for the foreseeable future, which is 10:15 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesdays. Mondays is basic level lessons. Friday, intermediate to advanced. Every other Wednesday is going to be a live chat on Zoom, which is actually going to be this week. Everything in blue is for the Zoom tiers. Tuesday's virtual classroom is going to be uploaded every Tuesday. And that's the video where I give students feedback. And again, that's for the $10 a month. You get feedback on your artwork from me in a video format. And then Wednesday is a behind the scenes where something fun, not necessarily art related, but just about me and life. Sometimes it's art related, like I'll take you on a online shopping spree or take you to museum visits virtually, things like that. But all the online class information is on my Patreon if you're interested about it. Link is in the description box of this video. And yeah, sure, we can have everyone on Patreon paint Hugo. Oh, thank you. Once again, thank you all so much. I wish you the very best in all of your artwork, and I'll see you on the next one.